Alright, this group here of miscellaneous items, just things I picked here and there throughout the day. So, different vendors. Um, I went through a box and found this bag of it says knives, and what these are genuine steel branded plastic blades for trimming weeds. I have a head on my steel weed whacker that basically will accept these plastic heads. So instead of using strings, it uses these plastic blades, and I actually like them. So there's it uses three on the head, and I needed some, and I happened to spot these, and I knew that everything was so cheap on this guy's table stuff that I'd get these for, real cheap, and I got them for $2. So I got this whole bag for $2. This is actually a full bag. It's ripped open now because I already took 3 out. So, but $2 is a good deal for that. I came across a vendor who I spotted these 2 blocks that appear to be brass blocks. They're pretty big. They're just over 1.5 inches thick, just over 2.5 inches wide, about 8 inches or just over. The fact that they're just over in each direction makes me wonder whether or not they're metric. Well, I don't know, but I'm looking at them and I'm like, what could I do with these? I'm trying to think of what could I use these for, and I was like, well, wait a minute, maybe I could use them as like auxiliary jaws in one of my vices or something, I'm assuming that they're brass. They could also be an alloy. So I don't know. They're drilled and tapped. I don't know what thread that is. Doesn't really matter. But anyways, he had a price on these of $3 each, because I guess he figured if he can't get anybody to buy them, he was going to scrap them. And I don't know what the scrap value would be on that, but they've got some weight to them. So he had $3 each on these, and I'm looking at them, and I'm contemplating making an offer on a pair. So I asked him about what they're from, if he knows, and he explained to me, according to him, he worked in a paper mill, and that they had a ton of these, that there were some machines that they used there that had some sort of rollers or something, and that these were somehow part of the mechanism, and that these were designed to wear, I guess, before whatever was in contact with them would wear, because whatever was in contact with them was probably a hardened roller of some type that was much more expensive. So these were designed to be originally sacrificial, so they had a whole bunch of these, and then I guess the mill closed, and he acquired a ton of these. So he brought out 1 pair for the show to see if anybody would bite on them, and I finally, later on in the day, was the sucker who decided to take on a pair and see if I could use them. And he says, well, if I want more of them, he's going to bring more next show, I guess, which won't be until the spring. But anyways, yeah, so these are interesting. So he had $3 each on them, so I was thinking, hey, he'd probably do 2 for $5. In the meantime, he had a toolbox there with a bunch of junk in it, but amongst the junk that was in the toolbox was this little precision level, and I spotted it right away, and I was like, oh, hey, that kind of looks a little like Starrett 98. And then I like that it's got the V groove in the bottom too there. I looked at it more closely and realized that it's not a Starrett. You rotate the barrel over here, it's Stanley, made in the USA. So it's like, oh, that's kind of neat. Unfortunately, the vial's gone. Now, whether or not you could still get a replacement vial for this, I have no idea. I know for the Starrett 98 series, you can get the replacement vials. So I was intrigued by it, but because of the fact that it's got some rust on it and it's got a broken vial, I didn't put a lot of value on it, but I still kind of wanted to get it. So I actually made him an offer of $5 for all of this, and he took it. So I got this I don't know. I think I kind of got this for free because I think these are worth $5 for the pair of these. They might be worth $5 in scrap or close to it. They got quite a bit of weight. But maybe we'll find a project or something down the road where I can use these and do something with them. This is an idler pulley off of a mower deck. At least that's what I think it is, or some sort of power equipment. Most likely a mower deck. It appears to be used, based on the wear pattern here, where the belt was riding, okay? And judging from the width of the belt, this is off of a pretty big mower deck, like a belly mower off of a tractor or something like that. But the bearing's perfect. It's in really good shape. It was just laying there with a bunch of junk, and I was thinking about it. Oh, you know, what do I need one? I was thinking about how I got a John Deere belly mower that I want to fix up and sell. I picked up a while back. I was going to use it on my Ford 1920 tractor, and the 1920 has a single speed PTO, and the belly mower that I picked up is a John Deere, and it's made to run off of a different RPM, I think, of the PTO. I forget what the two standards are, anyways. And also the problem was I was going to try and make it work off the rear PTO and like make it a 3-point hitch finish mower, and that was going to just be a big old project, and it was going to be very problematic to convert it. Anyways, got this pulley for $1. Spotted this earlier in the day. It's filthy, but it's actually in really good shape. I don't see any oopsies, drill marks, or anything like that in it. And what it looks like is it looks like a little palm grain vise, and it's actually badged right here with an early Craftsman logo, which once if I attempt to clean this, it'll probably take that right off. But the idea is that it's still a nice little vise, and it's in great shape other than being filthy. So I spotted this, and I offered the guy $10 for it, and he passed. And then later in the day, I went by his table again, and I was looking again, and I spotted the vise was still there, and I jokingly said to him, I said, hey, I noticed you haven't sold it yet. I said, I'm getting ready to leave. I'm willing to give you $10 for it. And he said, yeah, all right. So I got this for $10. Nice little vise. And in case you're curious, it's just under 2.5 inch, the jaws. All right, almost done. These 5 items are the last buys of the day, and were the last buys of the day. And these 5 items I all bought from one dealer, and bundled them, and ended up paying $70 for the lot. So let's take a look. This is that was marked for $20. Brown and Sharp 599-10 digit mic, 0 to 1 digital micrometer is what the box says, but the box being this old kind of makes it obvious that it's not going to be really a true electronic digital. It's one of these. So those of you guys who watch my channel regularly may have seen the episode where I actually repaired one of these. I think the one I repaired was a 1 to 2 inch model. So this is actually a very neat micrometer design that Brown and Sharp came out with back in the day, and it's a direct reading tenths micrometer. So it's got a little tumbler readout right here, so you can actually really read quickly to the 10,000ths resolution with this. Unfortunately, the problem with this micrometer is that there's a crack right here, which is kind of interesting to me because this is exactly what was wrong with the other one that I had. This was cracked. This one is still functioning though, so it's actually still working even though it's got that crack in it. And I already checked, and if I run it all the way down, it does come back to 0, which is great. So the idea is, for instance, right there it's at 0, 0. So if we look at this little line, the edge of this plastic piece is on the line. It's on the 1 line. So that's exactly 100 thousandths right there. it's supposed to turn a little bit more freely than this, so it's probably gummed up from age. If I grab it here, I can turn it. So it's sticky, so it could use a little bit of love. The lock works. It's got carbide faces. So the idea being is when you turn this back, it positively the thimble positively locks. So you say I have no problem turning it in this direction, but when I go to turn it in this direction, you see how it's not turning the thimble, it's just turning this outer piece. That's the friction thimble, but it's not quite getting enough friction. So if I push on it a little bit in this direction, it grabs a little bit better. And you can see it turns, but every once in a while it hangs up. So that means that either this is a little too hard to turn, a little harder to turn than it should be, or this is slipping too much. I don't know which. It's still usable though. I'm probably going to end up keeping that one. So I don't know, I figure maybe that's worth 10 bucks in the condition it's in. Here's another early Brown and Sharp box. But this is a Brown and Sharp Magnicator Junior magnetic base holder with fine adjustment. I've had a couple of these. I think I might have sold a couple too. So this is a little miniature mag base, but what's kind of neat about this one is that it's a complete set. They're all original in the original box, and I didn't know it, but apparently when they sold these, apparently it came with 2 rods. So this has got the shorter rod with the fine adjustment on it, and then you could take this rod out and install this longer rod that has a stepped shank at the end there, so you give it a little bit more versatility. And then you can use this clamping nut here. Okay, so that's kind of neat. I also think it's kind of cool that they put these little metal pieces on here, and they act almost like a shunt to the magnetic force. So it's just a little bit sticky, barely sticky at all. Okay. Matter of fact, it's so I can actually hold that up. That's about it. All right. But we take these off, and voila, plenty of holding power. It's actually a pretty good size, pretty good strength magnet on there. So I think that's kind of neat that they do that. And I think I have one of these that has these on it, and I just thought, oh, somebody just, you know, stuck those on there. But I think these are actually original to the set, because what are the odds that they would have the same exact thing on another set another one of these that I have. But anyways, that right there, this had a sticker on it, 15 bucks. So I probably gave 10 for that. I think it's worth more than that. Probably gonna end up selling that one. So this is a Callit Block Set. We'll get to that in a moment. But what this is this is a Callit closer for a Callit Block Set, or some sort of a Callit accessory. So this is basically threaded to accept the 5C Callit. And what you would do is the 5C Callit would go through the block or the fixture or the jig or whatever, and you would rotate this and screw it on to a certain point. And then when you got to that certain point, you would put your stock in the collet, and you would flip this lever. Well, actually, you put your stock in first, turn this so it just starts to get tight a little bit, and then you flip this lever, and the cam action will actually lock that piece in. So it's like a quick release. So if you're doing multiple parts, once you set it, you could flip the lever, take the part out, put the next part in, flip it. And if you get a collet stop in there, it really helps with making things go a little bit more quickly. Why this is all alone, I don't know. I didn't think they sold these all by themselves, but I guess maybe they do. This looks, the way it fits in this box, it makes me think this might even be the original box and just missing the lid. Or maybe this is the lid that's missing the base. I don't know. I don't care. I probably figure I'm into that for like $5. Might just keep it as a spare. I don't know yet. This is a 5C Callit Block Set by a company called Kenrock. I'm not familiar with this particular brand. And it says the set includes the square block, the hex block, the lever-operated closer, which is another one of these, and it says nuts closer. And what's interesting is it also has a spanner wrench in there. You know, never heard of this name, says Korea. So that's interesting to me because I see a lot of Asian import stuff, a lot of machinist tools that are Asian imports, and I see India and China, but I almost never see Korea. And this is what we've gotten here. Nice Callit Block Set. So here's the closer we were just talking about. What's neat about this set is in addition to the closer, it also comes with locking nuts. Okay, so what the locking nuts do is you can take this off and you can put these on, and they'll give you probably more force on tightening. And then there's this, which looks to me like somebody just made. Yeah, that's not that's shop made. So somebody made a little spanner wrench for these collet nuts and stuck it in the box here. So that's kind of cool. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what a Callit Block Set is used for or useful for, basically the typical Callit Block sets like this come with just the two blocks. They come with a square block and they come with a hex block. Okay, so the idea is, oh, and by the way, this is a great accessory. If you've got a milling machine and you're thinking about, well, you know, where do I want to spend my money on tooling and accessories? This is one of those things that is far cheaper to buy than, say, a spin indexer, or definitely cheaper than like a super spacer. But it still gives you some versatility. And so let's say you have a round shaft like this and you want to make a square end. Okay, so you want 4 flats at 90 degrees to each other on the end of this. Well, we could put this in our milling vise, right? And we could we could mill a flat with an end mill. But then if we want the next face, we loosen the vise and rotate this. If we want the next face to be exactly at 90 degrees to this face that we just milled, well, it gets a little bit trickier. You're going to have to, if you really want to be precise, you got to indicate it. You got to indicate that face. However, if you've got a collet block, what you can do is find the appropriate size collet, stick it into the collet, use the collet closer, clamp it down, stick this in your vise. Okay, now because this is a nice square block, you could stick this in the vise, just tighten it down, and boom, mill your flat. Loosen the vise, rotate it 90 degrees, mill your flat, mill your flat, mill your flat. And if you set up a stop in the vise, it makes it real easy that every time you drop this back in the vise and you rotate it and you drop it back in, you set it at the same position in the vise every time, and you'll get a nice 4 flats. You'll end up with a square end on your round shaft. So that's a really easy way to do it with one of these. You want a hex on the end of your shaft? There you go. So I have one of these already, but I think it's just loose. I think I just have the 2 blocks and the closer. I don't think I have those nuts. So I might keep this set. I haven't decided yet. Sometimes I keep the best for myself and sell. Sometimes I keep what might not be the best brand or whatever for myself because it might be just good enough for my purposes, and then turn around and sell the better one because it's got a, better name like a Starrett or something like that. All right, final item of the day out of the same lot, and this is where most of the $70 got spent. So this is a Blake coaxial indicator. This is a really handy tool for your milling machine for locating the center of an existing hole. You can locate the center of a bore. So if you're going to use a boring head to enlarge a hole, you can use this to precisely locate the center of that original bore to set your boring head up in the center. You can also use it if you want to drill a larger hole and you want to, again, there are several other uses. There are other attachments available. What this has going for it is it's got the instruction booklet, which is nice. It's in pretty good shape. It's got the handle. Sometimes this handle goes missing. It's got 2 points, this curved one and this straight short one. a lot of times this will come with longer and more accessories, mostly longer points. Like the set that I keep for myself, I have quite a few points with it. And then there's also an accessory that is often missing on these that went in here that gives you a sharp little point, and it's a swivel. And what it's designed to do is it's designed to sit in your punch mark. So if you make layout lines and then you put your center punch mark, that little prick point, you can actually eyeball that so that it's right above that little mark. Put that little pin edge into the indentation, and then use this to set your spindle directly over your layout mark. So it's kind of neat. This is the kind of thing that, you know, a lot of guys will say, they never ever used one. But then I've also seen guys who said they never ever had used one before, and then they got one or tried one, and ever since then they've been in love with it. So go figure. It's in decent shape. It's got the foam cancer that a lot of times you can see in this older equipment, and the foam's kind of sticking to it, making it kind of dirty. But the actual body of it's in pretty good shape. Lots of times you'll see that this lacquer on here will be chipped off or damaged. This one's in really nice shape. It's got some white crustiness on the edge here that I'm not quite sure about. This actually moves freely like it's supposed to, and the indicator moves. However, when I turn it, you hear that squeaking noise in there? That should not be there. So it could use a little bit of, I see a lot of this crusty crap in here too. So I think it could probably go for just a little bit of work. Would probably make this a really nice unit, usable unit. So we'll have to maybe delve into that. For those of you who watch my channel regularly, you may recall that I not too recently ago picked up another one of these, also for short money. In fact, this I think might be the one that I actually rated that point from. So this one is got this RAL Mike's Toolorama label on it, but this is actually a Blake coaxial. So this one also has the RAL Mike's branded owner's manual in it. So we got a couple of points, the handle, but this one is a sick puppy. This one does not rotate at all. Well, actually I take that back, it just rotated, but it's sticking. It's sticking a lot more than it should. It's also not going, see how that's flopping like that? That's not going back in. It's, there you go. It's supposed to go in like that, but it's supposed to move in and out freely. So that's sick. That needs some attention. So I think I'm going to take a shot at seeing if I can't repair this. And if I have success and feel comfortable with my ability to disassemble these and repair them, then I'll take a shot at taking apart this other one that is in better shape and just probably needs cleaning and lubrication. Alright, so that's going to be a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button, and if you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Take care.